Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, you don't miss out on the latest insights into rare and valuable coins. In today's video, we're going to dive deep into the fascinating world of the Monticello 5 cents Jefferson nickel, specifically focusing on 4 key years: 1942, 1939, 1943, 1945, 1963, 1970, 1964, and 1969. We'll be exploring these coins in various conditions, from damaged to circulated, and analyzing their value in today's auction market. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, you won't want to miss the insights we have to offer. First up, we explore the value of the 1942 Jefferson nickel with a large date, and the S mint mark is a fascinating piece of American numismatic history. This coin, minted during World War II, carries a unique blend of historical significance, design characteristics, and minting quirks that make it highly sought after by collectors, especially when found in varying conditions such as the damaged state we'll be discussing today. The 1942 Jefferson nickel was struck at a time when the United States was deeply involved in the Second World War. With the U.S. entering the war in 1941, much of the nation's resources were diverted to support the war effort. This also affected the production of coins, and the Jefferson nickel is a prime example. As the war effort escalated, silver and nickel were in short supply, leading to changes in coin composition starting in 1942. The 1942 S mint mark version of the Jefferson nickel is particularly important. Minted in San Francisco, these coins were part of a large batch struck during a transitional period in American coinage. The S mint mark was used to identify coins minted at the San Francisco Mint, which played a pivotal role in producing these wartime coins. The Jefferson nickel is well known for its depiction of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, on the obverse. Designed by Felix Schlag, Jefferson's portrait graces the front of the coin, with an inscription of "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." The reverse of the coin shows Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home, along with the inscription "E pluribus unum" and the year of minting. In 1942, there were 2 distinct types of Jefferson nickels produced: the regular composition nickel, which was 75% copper and 25% nickel, and a wartime nickel, made of 56% copper, 35% silver, and 9% manganese. The wartime composition was introduced to conserve nickel for the war effort. However, the 75% mint marked on the 1942 coin signifies that it was struck at the San Francisco Mint. Market value and collector interest now, when it comes to the value of the 1942 Jefferson nickel with the S mint mark in damaged condition, things get a bit more complex. Typically, coins in damaged condition aren't as valuable as those in higher grades, but they can still hold significant value due to rarity and historical interest. The market value for a 1942 S Jefferson nickel in damaged condition can range from $256,000 depending on the extent and type of damage. This damage can include scratches, dents, corrosion, or even environmental wear that's occurred over time. Although collectors generally seek coins in better condition, there are still buyers who appreciate these pieces as part of their collection due to their historical relevance and wartime composition. Additionally, because the 1942 S is part of the wartime nickel series, it has a level of rarity that can increase its desirability. Even in damaged condition, a 1942 S Jefferson nickel can be a valuable find for the right collector. Error coins. There is also the possibility of finding error coins from this year, such as double die errors or misstrikes, which can dramatically increase the value of a coin, even in a damaged state. Coins with these types of errors can fetch significantly higher prices, depending on the nature and severity of the mistake. Collector interest collectors of Jefferson nickels are particularly drawn to the wartime series due to the unique composition and historical significance. Coins with S mint marks are often favored by collectors, who focus on specific mint locations. Additionally, 1942 Jefferson Nickels with the large date and wartime composition are considered especially desirable, even in damaged condition, because they reflect the transitional period of the United States coinage system during World War II. Next up, we explore the value of 1939 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark is a classic coin from the early 20th century, and it's widely recognized by collectors for both its historical significance and design features. The 1939 Jefferson nickel was part of the regular circulating series that began in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, which had been in circulation since 1913. The Jefferson nickel was introduced to commemorate Thomas Jefferson, and the design by Felix Schlag was chosen from a public competition. The 1939 release was one of the early years in this new series, and it is important in terms of the overall history of U.S. coinage. In 1939, the United States was still recovering from the Great Depression, and the economy was beginning to show signs of improvement. While the Jefferson nickel was being produced in large quantities, the production of coins was still carefully monitored to prevent hoarding, which had occurred during the Depression. The absence of a mint mark on the 1939 Jefferson nickel means that it was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, the primary mint for U.S. coin production at the time. The obverse of the 1939 Jefferson nickel features the iconic portrait of Thomas Jefferson, while the reverse depicts Monticello, Jefferson's estate in Virginia. The design is simple yet deeply meaningful, highlighting Jefferson's contributions to the country. The phrase "E pluribus unum" is inscribed above Monticello, signifying the unity of the states. What stands out about the 1939 Jefferson nickel is the relative rarity of certain variations. While this coin does not have the S mint mark that is commonly sought after, it does have a place in history as part of the early Jefferson nickel series. Market value and collector interest in circulated condition, a 1939 Jefferson nickel can still be of considerable interest to collectors. Typically, this coin is valued at around $58,000, depending on the wear and tear it has experienced over time. If it is in better condition, it can fetch higher prices, especially if it has been preserved in uncirculated or proof-like condition. The 1939 nickel, especially those without a mint mark, are an affordable and accessible option for those looking to build their Jefferson nickel collection. The 1939 Jefferson nickel is also known for certain minting errors that can increase its value. For example, double die errors, where the design is mistakenly struck multiple times, can make a 1939 nickel much more valuable. Collectors specifically look for these errors, as they tend to be rarer and can significantly increase the worth of a coin. Collector interest. The 1939 Jefferson nickel is a staple for any serious collector of Jefferson nickels. Even in circulated condition, it holds importance due to its place in the series and its connection to Thomas Jefferson's legacy. While it may not command the same premium as rarer years or versions, it remains a key part of any collection from this era. Next up, we explore the value of the 1943 Jefferson nickel with a large date and an S mint mark in lamination and dirty condition is a fascinating coin to examine, as it carries both historical significance and the rare minting anomaly. The 1943 Jefferson nickel is notable for being minted during World War II, a time when resources like nickel and copper were in short supply. To conserve these materials, the U.S. Treasury decided to create a new composition for the nickel, replacing the regular 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy with a mixture of 56% copper, 35% silver, and 9% manganese. This wartime composition became standard for the Jefferson nickel from 1942 to 1945. The 1943 S mint mark version of the Jefferson nickel was struck at the San Francisco Mint, which played a pivotal role in producing these wartime coins. the 1943 San Jefferson nickel is particularly sought after by collectors due to its unique composition and historical significance, but it can be even more intriguing when found in lamination and dirty condition. Like other Jefferson nickels, the 1943 version features the iconic portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse. The reverse depicts Monticello, Jefferson's home in Virginia. The simplicity and elegance of these designs have made the Jefferson Nickel series a beloved collection for numismatists and history enthusiasts alike. However, one of the most unique aspects of the 1943 Jefferson Nickel is its composition, which was altered to accommodate the needs of the war effort. As mentioned earlier, the change in the alloy made the coins distinct from pre-1942 versions. The addition of manganese and silver gave the coin a slightly different appearance and feel compared to its predecessors. While it didn't last long, this wartime nickel composition is still of great interest to collectors today, especially when coins are found with errors or in unique conditions. The large date used on the 1943 Jefferson nickel distinguishes it from other years in the series, making it a specific variant sought after by enthusiasts of the series. Market value and collector interest coins in lamination and dirty condition generally fetch lower prices than those in pristine form, but their value is still notable due to the coin's historical context and rarity. The 1943 S. Jefferson nickel in lamination or dirty condition could be valued between $525,000 and $30,000. While this might seem low for collectors seeking higher-grade coins, it is important to note that such coins have strong collector interest, especially when they exhibit characteristics like unique errors or are from historically significant years, such as 1943. In terms of lamination errors, the 1943 S. Jefferson nickel may show peeling or flaking in the surface of the coin, which occurred when the metal layers did not fully bond during the minting process. These types of errors can be highly valued by error coin collectors who are specifically looking for coins with manufacturing flaws. The fact that it is from the wartime nickel series only adds to its appeal, especially for collectors focusing on this era. Collectors who specialize in wartime nickels, particularly those from the San Francisco Mint, often seek out any varieties or errors associated with this series. Even in a damaged state, a coin like this is seen as a key piece of U.S. coin history. Error coins from this period, including lamination errors and other minting anomalies, are among the most prized among collectors. The 1943 S. Jefferson nickel with a lamination error could be worth more if the damage is unusual or unique. Additionally, coins with misstrikes, double die errors, or incorrect alloys can bring in a premium. These types of coins are often sold at specialized auctions or within numismatic circles, where they are valued not just for their condition, but also for the rarity of their defects. The appeal of the 1943 S. Jefferson nickel is substantial among collectors of wartime coins and error coins. The historical significance of the wartime nickel series, combined with the possibility of finding a coin with a unique error, makes this coin highly desirable despite its condition. Even in a lamination or dirty state, collectors who are passionate about this period of U.S. coinage are often willing to pay a premium for a piece like this, especially if it completes a particular set or adds an error variety to their collection. Next up, we explore the value of the 1945 Jefferson nickel with a large date and an S mint mark in circulated condition offers a wonderful combination of historical importance and numismatic interest, making it a key coin for collectors of U.S. coinage from the World War II era. By the time the 1945 Jefferson nickel was minted, World War II had ended, but the wartime effects on U.S. coinage were still evident. The wartime nickel composition, which included 56% copper, 35% silver, and 9% manganese, was still in effect as the U.S. government continued to prioritize the preservation of nickel for military use. The 1945 nickel, minted with the S mint mark in San Francisco, is part of the final year of the wartime nickel composition. It is a coin that bridges the end of the war and the post-war years, making it a significant piece for collectors looking to understand the full scope of U.S. coinage during World War II. The coin reflects the country's transition from wartime to peacetime production, making it a fascinating piece of history. Like its predecessors, the 1945 Jefferson nickel features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, designed by Felix Schlag, and the Monticello design on the reverse. The coin has an iconic appearance, with Jefferson's face prominently displayed, and the Monticello building on the reverse serving as a symbol of Jefferson's legacy. The large date of the 1945 Jefferson nickel further distinguishes it from other years, making it an important variant. The large date was used in part to accommodate the ongoing changes in minting processes during the wartime years, and it can be particularly notable for collectors focused on these specific design variations. Market value and collector interest in circulated condition. The 1945 Jefferson nickel generally holds value around $496,300, though this can fluctuate depending on the specific wear and any additional factors like toning, surface scratches, or other signs of wear. While circulated coins tend to be more affordable than higher-grade specimens, they still attract a great deal of attention due to their place in history. Because of its place in the wartime nickel series and its San Francisco mint origin, the 1945 nickel remains a key part of any collection focused on this era. Collectors of wartime nickels and Jefferson Nickels series enthusiasts actively seek out these coins as they represent the culmination of the wartime changes to U.S. coinage. As with the other coins in the wartime nickel series, error coins are of particular interest to collectors. Misstrikes, die errors, or even improperly alloyed coins can make a 1945 Jefferson nickel significantly more valuable. Errors like double dies, off-center strikes, or repunched mint marks are highly prized in the numismatic world. The possibility of discovering such an error coin in a 1945 SIC nickel makes even circulated specimens more exciting. These coins might be valued higher, depending on the nature and visibility of the error. Some wartime nickels from this era, especially those with errors, have fetched prices far above their typical market values due to the rarity and interest from error coin collectors. The 1945 Jefferson nickel in circulated condition is a popular coin among collectors. Even with signs of wear, this coin is prized for its historical value and the role it plays in the larger context of U.S. wartime coinage. It serves as a tangible link to a time of great historical significance, and as a result, it attracts both experienced collectors and newcomers alike. Next up, we explore the value of a transformation story that embodied change and sorrow, desperation, drama, and intense history. Jefferson nickel holds a special place in the history of American coinage. This was a period of transition in U.S. currency, as the country was navigating through the early 1960s, which were marked by significant social and political change. Under the leadership of President John F. Kennedy, the United States was making bold moves in space exploration, civil rights, and the post-World War II era. It was also a time when the American economy was booming, with consumerism on the rise, leading to an increased demand for small denomination coins like the Jefferson nickel. First minted in 1938, the Jefferson nickel was designed by Felix Schlag, and it would go on to become one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. In 1963, it was already a well-established part of everyday life. The nickel depicted Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, whose legacy as a founding father of the nation continues to be commemorated. On the reverse, Monticello, the home of Jefferson, was beautifully portrayed, which is why this series is often referred to as the Monticello nickels. The minting of the 1963 nickel with a D mint mark representing the Denver Mint was part of the continued production of this coin for circulation purposes. In this time, The mint marks were placed on the reverse side of the coin to distinguish where the coin was produced. The obverse of the 1963 Jefferson nickel features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson facing to the left, with the inscription, "In God We Trust," above and "Liberty" to the right. Below his image is the date, is also displayed on the reverse, along with a D mint mark below Monticello, signifying that it was struck at the Denver Mint. The coin's design was unaltered in 1963, continuing the tradition that had been in place since the nickel's inception in 1938. Over time, however, changes in design and production methods would affect the coin's appearance and quality. The mintage of the 1963 Jefferson nickel was substantial, with over 200 million coins being produced at the Denver Mint alone. Given its high mintage, the 1963 Jefferson nickel is not considered rare, and most examples in circulated condition are relatively inexpensive. However, in today's market, the value of a coin can fluctuate depending on factors like its condition, collector interest, and demand. In circulated condition, you can expect the 1963 Jefferson nickel to be worth around $77,500 on average. This value is not significantly higher than face value, but in certain cases, such as coins with unique errors or specimens in pristine condition, the value can be greater. For example, coins with unusual die cracks, off-center strikes, or doubling errors are sought after by collectors. While the 1963 Jefferson nickel with a D mint mark is not known for any particularly rare or significant errors, it's still a coin that many collectors keep an eye on. Error coins, those that have mistakes made during the minting process, are some of the most valuable finds in the world of numismatics. Examples of potential errors in the 1963 Jefferson nickel series include things like double die obverses, where the coin's design has been struck twice, resulting in a doubled image of Jefferson or the date. Collectors also look for coins with improperly aligned dies, which can cause off-center strikes or images that are not fully imprinted. The 1963 Jefferson nickel is also of interest to those who collect coins from specific mints. While the 1963 nickel was produced in large quantities, the Denver Mint production run is still an important part of U.S. coinage history, and certain variations within this series can command higher prices, especially for coins that have been well preserved and show little to no signs of wear. Next up, we explore the value of 1970 was another significant time in American history. The country was in the midst of a cultural revolution, with many new movements gaining ground in politics, music, and art. The Vietnam War was still a major conflict, and the U.S. was facing challenges in the domestic front, especially in terms of civil rights and economic changes. In numismatic terms, the 1970 Jefferson nickel was part of a wider shift in the design and composition of U.S. coins. By this point, the design of the Jefferson nickel had been in circulation for over 3 decades, and the series had established itself as one of the enduring icons of American coinage. The 1970 nickel, which bore the D mint mark of the Denver Mint, continued the long-standing tradition of depicting Thomas Jefferson and Monticello. The 1970 nickel's large date designation refers to the size of the digits used to indicate the year on the coin. This is an important feature that numismatists use to identify different varieties within the same year. The color shade condition refers to coins that have developed unique toning or coloration due to environmental factors such as exposure to air, moisture, or chemicals. These color changes can sometimes add an aesthetic appeal to the coin, though the specific value of such coins depends on the collector's preferences for toned or patinaed coins. Over 200 million 1970 Jefferson nickels were produced, making it a relatively common coin. However, the coin's value increases with its condition. A well-preserved example of a 1970 nickel in color-shade condition can be worth more than a typical circulated coin, especially if the toning is eye-catching and appealing to collectors. In average circulated condition, the 1970 nickel is still worth $93,000. However, the 1970 Jefferson nickel with a large date and D mint mark in attractive color-shaded condition can fetch higher prices, especially in auctions where collectors look for coins with interesting visual appeal. Collectors of Jefferson Nickels are always on the lookout for errors, such as misstrikes or unusual toning patterns. The 1970 series is no exception. Coins with noticeable die errors or mistakes in the minting process are often sought after by collectors, and those in particularly good condition or with unique color variations can be highly valued in the auction market. Next up, we explore the value of the 1964, the Jefferson Nickels series. And beyond that, I discover why the Jefferson Nickels series had been around for over 25 years, and the coin was a staple of everyday life in the United States. This is a time when the U.S. was beginning to experience significant changes in coin production due to rising costs and new legislation. The decision to eliminate silver content from coins like the dime, quarter, and half dollar in 1965 would have a lasting impact on coin designs and public perception. Unlike the 1963 nickel, which had a D mint mark indicating it was struck at Denver Mint, the 1964 nickel without a mint mark was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. The lack of a mint mark is a notable feature of this coin, as the Philadelphia Mint did not use mint marks during this era for most coin issues. The design of the 1964 Jefferson nickel remains the same as its predecessors, with Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. The obverse features a left-facing portrait of Jefferson with the inscription, "In God We Trust," above and "Liberty" to the right. The date, 1964, appears just below Jefferson's portrait. On the reverse, the depiction of Monticello in place of Jefferson, "In God We Trust," above, and the coin's denomination, 5 cents. The lack of a mint mark on the 1964 nickel signifies that it was minted in Philadelphia, the primary mint for most coins issued during that period. This makes the 1964 Philadelphia coin somewhat special, particularly to collectors who focus on mint mark varieties and regional differences in coin production. Over 600 million 1964 Jefferson Nickels were produced, with a significant portion struck at the Philadelphia Mint. This high mintage means that the 1964 nickel is relatively common in most conditions, and it is generally worth only a small premium above face value. In circulated condition, the 1964 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark is typically valued around $366,400. However, the value can rise if the coin is in better condition, such as in higher grades like MS-63 or MS-65, where it could fetch a few dollars. Coins that are free from heavy wear and retain sharp details, especially those that show minimal signs of circulation, are more desirable to collectors. The 1964 nickel has seen some interest in numismatic circles, especially among those who focus on full sets of Jefferson Nickels, making it an essential coin in this series. In general, the 1964 Jefferson Nickel series is not known for being error-prone, but collectors are still interested in potential errors or rare variations. One error to look for is the double die, where the coin shows a visible doubling in the design, particularly on the date or the word Liberty. This type of error can increase the value of the coin depending on its severity and the collector demand. Because of its relatively high mintage, The 1964 Philadelphia Jefferson nickel doesn't typically carry a high premium unless it is in pristine condition or shows unique toning or errors. Nevertheless, it remains an important piece for collectors looking to complete a set of Jefferson nickels or those focused on acquiring coins from specific mints and years. Next up, we explore the value of the year 1969 was another critical year in American history. The U.S. was still heavily involved in the Vietnam War, while the country was also witnessing a surge of interest in space exploration, particularly following the success of the Apollo missions. 1969 was the year of the first successful moon landing, an event that captured the imagination of millions of Americans and marked an unforgettable moment in the history of science and technology. In the world of coinage, the 1969 Jefferson nickel was part of the ongoing series that honored Thomas Jefferson and his contributions to the nation. As the design of the Jefferson nickel remained unchanged during this period, the coin itself was an enduring symbol of American history. The 1969 nickel features the large date variety, which refers to the size of the digits used for the year. The mint mark D on this coin indicates it was struck at the Denver Mint, and the small mint mark is another distinctive feature. One unique feature of this particular coin is the small mint mark, which refers to the smaller-sized mint mark that was used by the Denver Mint in 1969, in contrast to the larger mint marks used in other years. This can be an important detail for collectors seeking specific varieties of coins. The 1969 Jefferson nickel with the small d mint mark saw a relatively high mintage of over 230 million coins, which makes it a fairly common coin. In circulated condition, its value is generally not much higher than face value, typically hovering around $43,300. However, in higher grades, such as fine or better condition, the value can rise to a few dollars. Because of the high mintage, the 1969 Jefferson nickel is not particularly rare, but the small mint mark variety can make it more interesting to collectors. Coins in fine or higher grades, especially those with sharp details and minimal wear, tend to attract more attention in the auction market. The 1969 Jefferson nickel is part of a large series of coins that were minted in the late 1960s, and, like other coins from this era, it can sometimes feature minting errors. Common errors for this coin include doubled dies and other striking issues, such as off-center strikes or unevenly spaced mint marks. These errors can increase the coin's value considerably, depending on the severity of the error and the level of collector interest. Collectors of the Jefferson nickel series, especially those focused on acquiring mint mark varieties, are also keen on the small mint mark variety from 1969. As with other coins, well-preserved examples, particularly those with distinctive errors or minting flaws, are highly sought after in the market. In today's video, we explored 4 fascinating coins from the Monticello Jefferson nickel series, each with its own unique history and characteristics. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a newcomer to the world of numismatics, understanding the details of these coins, their designs, mintage, and errors can give you valuable insight into the market value today. Thank you for tuning in to today's deep dive into these historical coins. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about other valuable coins in today's market, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel.